This podcast is dedicated to those that are in the mix, making it happen, and want to do better. Better at everything. Each episode, our guest will help us be better, do better, and perform better. We will tackle topics that we all deal with in business and in life.
You know, I am very fortunate to work in an industry with so many great people and just fascinating technologies and companies. And today's no different. I have a new friend that I've met through work with Convergia, Ariel Garcia. And we're going to talk about how I am not able to say his name properly in a minute. So, but let's listen to what he has to share with us and the interesting solutions and the wide range of offerings and nationally and internationally footprint they have. So let's check it out. Welcome back to the Wireless Way. I'm your host, Chris Whitaker, and today I'm privileged to have a new friend, Ariel Garcia, a multilingual, award-winning sales leader. He has a proven track record of achievement in marketing and promoting business solutions focused on telecommunications and IT products and services. Throughout his career, he has demonstrated skills in leading sales teams and leading revenue-generating initiatives, improving market share via channel and direct sales to enterprise class and SMB markets, something a lot of us are focused on as well. So he coincidentally launched Convergia in Orlando and the Tampa markets, developing sales plans while recruiting top talent, and ranked first in company for new closed deals and consistently exceeded quotas by 25 to 40%. Not too shabby. And he did it targeting international enterprise class customers with branches in the U.S. Ariel, thanks for joining us today. We just kind of went over your professional bio. And of course, as I always do, I'm really curious about who you are. You know, what's your story, and tell us a little bit more about yourself, and how did you get where you are today?
Yeah, terrific. Thanks, Chris, and thanks for having me on. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, so Ariel Garcia. I know a lot of people pronounce it Ariel. That's fine. I'm Cuban by birth, so I've been here in the States since I was a kid, right?
So say that again slower. So you got the American version and then the real. I asked you earlier. Oh yeah, that's fine. And you're gracious to do that. So what is the proper? What does your parents call you when they want to talk to you? What's the proper way?
My parents call me Ariel.
Oh boy, yeah. I can't. I don't know if I can do the roll, the L, or whatever that is. Okay. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm going to get that right.
No, by all means, I appreciate that. Yeah. So it's Ariel Garcia, and they here in the States they call me Ariel. That's fine. I can deal with it. So I like to say I'm Cuban by birth. I've been in Florida, my goodness, for probably 95% of my life, and travel a little bit. Got here when I was a kid. Lived in Illinois for a little bit, just north of Chicago, and went to school here, graduated from Brandon High School, went to college, and got two twin boys. So really happy. But that's a little personal bit about me. And like I said, Chris, excited to be here. Thank you.
Man, no, that is fascinating. I did not know that about you. And like I said, I generally find every interview I do, I always learn that one little interesting thing. And, there's so much going on lately in the news with Cuba and all. I mean, so wow, I bet that you have a totally different perspective on that than so many others. How did you go from, Illinois to being in Telecom? I mean, was it an intentional path you took, or was it like me? You just kind of ended up here.
So Telecom, I'm going to tell you a really funny story. It's something that I've always enjoyed since I was a kid. I used to play around with the boxes on the side of the house here in town. It was GTE. Remember those GTE days, right?
Yes.
So I was playing with the GTE telephone boxes one day, and then I discovered that I could create and create an extension of the physical line. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And then just patched it up and put it in the garage in the back. I dug a hole in the ground and was able to get a line in the back. And my dad loved it. And then one day, we discovered that we could record phone calls. And hey, don't tell anybody I did that, okay? So I was a kid. I didn't know any better. And then I started doing this for some people. It's like, hey, man, I need to record some phone calls. And I started rigging up the GTE boxes, and it looked natural. Boom, ran it down. And that's how I started my telecom. I started doing some really weird stuff. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, you're not supposed to do that. And I stopped doing it because I think it was illegal. No one told me. And anyways, I stopped. Got into
a couple of years ago, right?
Oh man, let me tell you, it was a long time ago. So stopped doing that. And but it just intrigued me, right? In the street, I was like, man, what do these boxes do? And, how do telecommunication voices just go to it? So it was always a curiosity, right?
Yeah.
And, but getting out of, started working, I got into sales and started learning more about telecom, right? I got into the telecom early when I was selling Flex T1s and T1s, and I started reading a lot of books, and I started networking, and I started getting together with a lot of folks that were really, really smart in the telecommunications industry, and learning a lot. And I had some really great mentors, and kind of little by little into the VoIP, into the hosted world, and little by little, just getting up to what we're doing today at Convergia, which is the SD-WANs and now the IoTs we're going to talk about later, and MPLSs and so forth, and some of the great connectivity abilities that we can do. So it's just fantastic how just the telecom itself has evolved in the last, I don't want to give my age away, but greater than 30 years, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, well, gosh, and meeting you and talking to you, it's hard to believe, you have such a youthful spirit and a good spirit at that. So again, I'm glad to have made your acquaintance recently, and got to spend a little time with you in Miami. And I look forward to seeing you more in the future. I know we're planning to try to do some events and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Along that lines of Convergia, tell us a little bit. Who is Convergia, and what are some of the, when you have to, I don't know, for lack of a better word, give your elevator pitch. I mean, what's the short story you tell people about Convergia? And and by the way, how long have you been there?
Since 2013. 2013, in Convergia. So elevator speech about Convergia. We're a value-added distributor, right? And we focus on many different products. We have a footprint of over 50 countries worldwide, but we stemmed off from a company called Future Electronics. So both our CEO and Future Electronics, they went to school together. Future Electronics CEO, they went to school together. Decided to create a telecom arm of Future Electronics, which is the world's third largest electronics manufacturer, components distributor, electronics component distributor, third in the world. And they decided to create Convergia to kind of do the telco arm of the future and in its worldwide presence. So they started doing MPLS. They started working on their infrastructure, their physical telephones, so on and so forth. And then they go, you know what? Why don't we do this worldwide? Why don't we do this and start creating customer base and start selling out to the customers to bring it out to the channel and so forth. So that's how we stemmed. That's how Converge came up from.
Wow. And what are some common misconceptions about Convergia? Are there things, especially in our partner world we're in, do people think, oh, well, they're just a Canadian company. Oh, no, they're just a LATAM company. I mean, exactly. What kind of misconceptions do you have to deal with occasionally or often?
That's exactly it. So that our focus is only Canadian and Latin America. And then what happens is I try to explain to my partners, guys, we also work here in the States. We do the States very, very well. Don't get me wrong. we're an ILEC in Peru. I know then Chile and Argentina were an ILEC. I know that we also have services in Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, believe it or not. And but so the misconception is that we just only strictly focus in Canada and Latin America. So what I try to reteach my partner base. Hey guys, I'm also very, very successful here in selling services here in the U.S. So that's one of the things I really want to get out to their channel base out there and kind of bring them up to date.
No, that's great. And I'm sure partners out there also are wondering, that like, yeah, I've heard of Convergia. Thanks for clearing that up. But where do I win with Convergia? I mean, what are some maybe keywords or key situations that when I hear or see them, I know I need to call Convergia?
Yeah. So we definitely, everybody knows us with our, what I like to call our legacy products, right? Our UCaaS, our DIA, our SD-WAN, and so forth. They still call me for that. Customers and partners still call Convergia for those products. But now we're actually doing IoT. We're actually now able to serve all these other countries like Europe, the EMEAs, Asia Pac. We do that very well. Not only that, but one of the strong things that I do tell my customers now and my partners is, hey guys, don't forget that we also have a PSTN in Canada, in the States, and also in Mexico. So it allows me to give you voice in those countries, whereas it was just a minimal focus here in the States as far as voice. Now we've expanded voice and have that capability. So a lot of capabilities, a lot of things that we can do, Chris.
So tell me more about how do you guys play in mobility and IoT?
So our play in mobility and IT is for the United States. We definitely focus on all variables of IoT, and that means we do fleet management, pot replacements, things of that sort. Healthcare for those folks that need to track devices with healthcare here in the States, and many aspects of that matter. As far as backup, we also offer backup with our high bandwidth, high data tier products, and that's available here in the States. For countries like Canada, for example, we do offer backup with IoT. The backup, it's not too much on the high data tier bandwidth, but IoT, we got customers, for example, that are tracking their trains as far as cargo weight. They want to make sure that once they reach point A to point B, they're actually tracking, how much cargo and if it's carrying cargo and if it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. We have customers in Canada that are actually tracking just plain, no bells and whistles, but just plain fleet tracking. They just want to track their trucks from point A to point B. Here in the States, we can do the same thing. Get as granular or as detailed as you like in that space. But things, for example, features like 5G wired fleet tracking, we can actually do that. Services like management or supply chain optimization, emergency response, or things like vehicle usage or driver behavior, that can be done with our asset tracking. Here's a really nice one for IoT and gas stations. I actually have an opportunity for a gentleman who wants to track his gas tankers to make sure that once he goes from the first gas station that he releases his gas to the next, he wants to make sure the delivery is on time. He wants to make sure and keeps track on the actual gas. And it helps him automate his gasoline tankers to make sure that the route is properly placed, and he's actually saving money because he's actually keeping an eye on his guys for idling or whatnot, so forth. So a lot that we can do there as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've heard situations where fuel distributors, it's not uncommon if it's too long of a haul for him to pull over on a rest stop and maybe drop off a couple of 100 gallons to his buddy, and just they call that shrinkage of just the product being internal theft is a big problem. And heard of one use case too where some distributors would maybe even put water in the gas. So if you got to deliver 100 gallons or whatnot to a gas station, maybe it's only 80 gallons of real gas, but it's maybe 20 gallons of water. So there's even IoT sensors that can, detect water in fuel. And you just one thing, I guess you hear every now and then if somebody's got some bad gas in their car and the car's acting up, and I guess that explains why that happens. But
exactly.
Yeah, IoT is pretty fascinating. There's just so many solutions that can solve problems for businesses and enhance their effectiveness and efficiency. Is it a challenge working for a company? I mean, it sounds like you guys really have your arms around like the entire technology stack of communications and technology in general. Tell us a little bit, how does your team and even our partners, what kind of layers of support or engineers or solution architects? I mean, what kind of resources do you have available to help partners know how to navigate through all your offerings?
No, absolutely. We definitely have the technical support 1, 2, and 3 if they actually need it. We got boots on the ground if they actually need help with that. 24/7 customer and technical support. So do we have the backend to support our folks, our customers and partners? Absolutely. So you made a great point. We offer so much. How do we support it? We have a great staff that we make available for our partners. Like I said, 24/7, 365 days a year. So we're available for all the folks anytime they need help.
Fantastic. Now that's what we all like to hear and see. So that's pretty cool. So you guys are headquartered out of Canada, right? And I know you touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
And you have offices in these other countries you mentioned, or do you kind of serve them remotely?
Yeah, so very good. So our world headquarters is in Montreal. Our U.S. headquarters is in Miami. We also have branches in Mexico City. We have a branch in Caracas. We have a branch in Bogota, Lima, Peru, Santiago, Chile. We have several other places that can't remember. We're in Argentina, but we are in South America and just able to help our customers out. Not only that, but remember on our first when I talked about Future Electronics, we also piggyback on their over 50 locations worldwide. So we're Future Electronics is, so is Convergia in essence.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, what are your final thoughts? I mean, what is something we haven't touched on that you want to leave our colleagues in the channel with? And what else is there going on with you and your team?
Absolutely. So, if a partner would like to have more education, a little bit more training, they could reach out to me. And we have great training modules that we can do for the partners, their staff. If they need to understand a little bit more about maybe a specific IoT product, and they just want to get a little bit more training, a little bit more understanding, we could definitely do that for them as well. So the training's there, the support's there. I'm available for them at all time. And not to be afraid of IoT. I know IoT can encompass a great wide range of solutions, right? But I guess the short answer is, hey, if you have a doubt, you want to learn a little bit more, give me a call, and we'll be more than happy to set up a presentation for you, your staff, and your team at any time.
Fantastic, because it's all about the communication, collaboration, and ease of doing business. And
Absolutely.
in technology and telecom, that can be a challenge at times. Sometimes, when you think about all that we're doing in technology, it's amazing any of it works, but it does. And having a good team like you guys and good partners like you make that easy. So, man, I in my head I've been distracted this whole interview because I'm like, how can I say his name the way he said it? I still don't know. I just don't know how to do it.
It's Ariel. Come on, Ariel.
Ariel. I'll keep working on it, man. Can I just call you Mr. Garcia? That I can nail that.
Chris, you can call me Ariel, man. It's fine.
It's funny. My dad used to tell me, he goes, when people will say, hey, Kerry or whatever his name was, and like, hey, you can call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for dinner. So that's kind of been my philosophy. Call me Christopher, Chris, C. Whitaker. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Don't call me late for dinner. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, man. Well, I always appreciate your patience, and you have very calming energy, and that's a skill to have, I think, in this business. It's such a fast-paced business. So really appreciate you carving out a little time for us.
Thank you.
I look forward to more conversations and doing more business with you, man. Thank you.
No, absolutely. No, thank you, Chris. I appreciate your time and I appreciate being here this afternoon. Thank you so much.
You bet. All right. Well, there you go. That's another installment of The Wireless Way. So thanks to Ariel Garcia and Convergia. So check out thewirelessway.net, like and share and tell your friends about this podcast. Learn more about what's going on in the world of telecommunications, the channel, and all things wireless.